Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 252, Lysis 222, C to D. Last time Socrates asked that since they were, as it were, drunk by the logos, the argument, whether they should claim that the proper, what is proper, is different from the similar. And the boys are very enthusiastic about that. They say absolutely, probably because they have no idea what's going on. The proper is, of course, different from the similar. If one's arm is proper to one's body, because it is part of the body, it is by no means similar to the body. The arm is different from the torso. So what Socrates is saying here is obvious and has absolutely nothing to do with any of the previous arguments. This is a matter-of-fact statement. What was problematic was the claim that the erastes is proper to the eromenos, the lusted one. The erastes is the one lusting. Why should he be proper to the one lusted? Socrates never makes clear, he just made the claim. Socrates now asks a question which he formulates as if it follows from the idea that the proper is different from the similar, but it really isn't. Potoron un kai tagathonoi keon thesomen panti, tode kakon alotrion einai, tomen kakon to kako oikeon, tode agatho to agathon, tode mete agatho mete kako, to mete agathon mete kakon. Hutos ephaten doken sphisin hekaston hekasto oikeon einai. So then, shall we posit that the good as well is proper to everything, while the bad is alien, or that the bad is proper to the bad, while the good is, in other words, proper to the good, and the neither good nor bad to the neither good nor bad? They both said that it seemed to them in this way that each was proper to each. Now, of course, saying that each is proper to each just makes the proper the same, because each is the same to each, which indicates that the boys aren't following this at all. They don't know what it means for the proper to be different from the same. Obviously, if the good is proper to the good, and the bad proper to the bad, and the neutral proper to the neutral, we are treating the proper as the same. And the boys clearly don't understand what they are saying. This is the option they chose above the first option, which Socrates posited, which was that the good is proper to everything. Why would the boys think that the good isn't proper to everything? It's not made clear. It's probably not even a question, because the boys don't really understand what is being said. But we should ask ourselves whether this is at all possible. Why would the good be considered proper to everything? And is it true that the good is proper to everything? The first problem with the formulation is that we don't know what is meant by the good. Do we mean the abstract notion of the good, that which is to be found in every instance of good, or are we talking about the particular good thing, which is the way most ordinary Greeks would understand to agathon, the good thing? The good being proper to everything should be distinguished from the proper being good to everything. If we take a few examples, we might be able to see whether there is any connection between good and proper. Let's take a look first at the claim that the proper is good. This is the claim Socrates doesn't make, but it's easier to look at because in this case, good simply describes the proper. We're not turning it into an abstract applicable to everything, which in fact would already show that the good is not proper, because if it's for everything, then it's not proper. To be proper has to be belonging to something specific. Anyway, back to the proper being good, we can imagine a foot. A foot is proper. It's proper to a body. The foot is proper because it is an organic part of the body, and because it's an organic part of the body, we may already assume that it has some benefit for the body, and fairly obviously a foot is good. But we shouldn't therefore conclude that the proper is good. There are other things which are not necessarily good, like a headache. A headache is proper to a head. A headache is not proper to a foot. And yet a headache is not a good thing to have in your head. Therefore, we cannot say that what is proper is necessarily good. Now let's look at the other alternative, that the good is proper. If we understand the good as the abstraction of any good thing, we may already conclude that the good is not necessarily proper. There are many good things in this world which benefit all people or some people indiscriminately, and they are not proper to one or other person. If we understand the good as an abstract concept, then we may say that the good is proper to other abstract concepts which contain in some way the good. For example, justice or courage or wisdom. But of course, these abstract concepts are not everything. So far as I can tell, Socrates is simply using these meaningless phrases to further confuse the boys. By the way, they both replied. We have the dual form of the verb. Whatever the boys had replied, they would have been wrong, and Socrates could have been disappointed in them, or simply say again that they are absolutely drunk. But that would be redundant in this dialogue. He said it once, that's enough. The fact that they are completely confused is dramatized throughout. He doesn't need to talk about it again. Again, I should be careful. They're not really confused, because confusion would require some effort on their part to try to understand what's going on. And I suspect that they are not really trying to understand. That is the main reason why Socrates has to say that they are confused, say that they are drunk, because they aren't. As I said last time, it's Socrates who is trying to make people, as it were, drunk. They are brain dead. They are suffering from hemlock, as it were. Palin ara endigo opaides, husto proton logus apepalo metha periphilias, es tutus, es peptocamen. So again, I said, O children, the arguments which we at first had rejected about philia, into these we have fallen. Socrates now is saying all the time, we did this, we did that, we rejected the arguments. All of the arguments have been rejected by Socrates. and Socrates is the only one who has been initiating arguments as well. And now he's saying that they are back to the arguments about philia, although he's not talking about philia now. He's talking about the proper and the good. So I hope Socrates explains himself now. Hogar adikos to adiko kai hokakos to kako, uden heton philos estai e ho agathos to agatho. Eoiken efe. For the unjust will be no less friendly to the unjust, and the bad person no less friendly to the bad person, than the good to the good. So it seems, he said. Who said? We're back to one boy. The original argument which Socrates seems to be referring to here is that the same cannot be friendly to the same. The good can't be friendly to the good because the good don't need any additional help from anybody because they are good, they're self-sufficient, while the bad can't be friendly to the bad because the bad are not useful at all. Therefore, that seems to have proved that the same can't be friendly to the same. And this is what Socrates seems to be referring to when he says that the unjust will be no less friendly to the unjust and the bad no less friendly to the bad as the good are friendly to the good. In other words, he's just giving examples of same to same. And this is because the boys chose the second option, that the bad is proper to the bad, and so on. In other words, they made the proper the same. It's an easy mistake to make if you're not thinking at all. The formulation of something being no less than something else is typically heuristic and is taken to be a conclusive refutation in heuristics, even though it isn't. It seems to me that this is being said for the benefit of Menexenus, who is the one who likes heuristics, and he is probably the one who replied on his own this time. An intoxicating dialectical conversation is one in which arguments are posited and examined and usually refuted. But then, in later arguments, we always return to the previous arguments to compare and see whether we've already refuted these new arguments and whether we were wrong then or wrong now. Or, of course, wrong both times. What is certain is we can't be right in both cases.